Hey everybody, Wes here again from Scamps Automotive. Today I'm working on a 2000 Subaru Outback. It's got the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder base non-turbo motor, super common motor that Subaru uses on a ton of their platforms. I wanted to show you something that's a really common problem with these Subarus. So you see here, this is your spark plug wire, and as you can tell, it's all covered in oil. Well, down here, that little hole right there is where the spark plug wire goes into, and basically underneath the valve cover right there, there's circular gaskets that seal off those spark plug holes to prevent oil from getting inside. Well, what happens is they fail internally and oil starts to go down inside the spark plug hole, and it starts causing problems like misfires. It'll foul out your ignition wire here and causes all kinds of issues. You'll be burning oil, things of that nature. So the fix here is you got to remove that whole valve cover. There's a gasket on the exterior of it to prevent external leaks, and then there's also those two round seals that seal off the spark plug holes. So really what you need to do is replace the valve cover gaskets, which come as a set with the internal and external gaskets. Replace your spark plug wires here and all four of your spark plugs, and that'll get you all fixed up. Like I said, super common. I've done dozens of these. If I have some kind of misfire issue on a Subaru, that's the first thing I check. I just go and I pull one or more of the ignition wires. And more times than not, if it's an older Subaru, you see any oil on that wire, that's your problem. Replace them both, get it done, do it right. Alright, so I got the valve cover off here, as you can see. Guy said he had the head gaskets done a couple of years ago, and you'd think that they would do the valve cover gaskets at the same time. Well, it looks like they did, but a big mistake the tech made was he used RTV or some kind of silicone all over these rubber gaskets. It's kind of the theory of, well, if one is good, two is better. But when it comes to gaskets, that's not the case. All you're doing with this RTV is you're creating an uneven surface, so that because the rubber is designed to seal up perfectly. Not to mention, it makes it super hard and brittle. This thing is rock solid. I mean, I can barely even bend this thing. The outside piece, it just snapped apart in pieces because it's so brittle. Only a couple years old. So that's a big no-no for sure. Do not put RTV on your rubber gaskets. Second thing here, got the spark plug out. There is so much oil in this hole. I don't even know how this thing was running. But you can also see, I want you to focus in, if I can get it to focus here, I want you to see the node on this spark plug. And you can see the difference here. On focus. There, you see how worn down that node is? Look how big that gap is right there. That causes an increase. Basically, the ignition coil is trying to increase the amount of voltage needed to jump that spark. Your ignition system's working a lot harder and not running nearly as efficient. You can see the new one. That's a brand new spark plug, what the gap looks like there. Big difference. These plugs are super old and worn out. So if you want to check your plugs, you can pull them out and look at the node there. I mean, that's where the spark jumps across. So the bigger the gap, the more electrical voltage needed to jump that gap, creates more resistance and makes your ignition system less efficient. So, a couple tech tips for you here on this Subaru. Scamps Automotive, keep on wrenching.